I'm Kryn Van Tottenhove, co-author of Neighborhood Church and pastor here at Emmanuel Presbyterian in San Antonio. Today we'll be looking at Chapter 2, The DNA of Listening. Theologian Paul Tillich famously said, "The first duty of love is to listen." Yet we live in a time that is sorely divided. Over so many issues, people have closed their ears to each other. It is essential for local churches to not only model a new way of listening, but to realize a fundamental fact that is central to both this book and the disciplines of asset-based community development. Many of the answers for our future ministries will be found in the dreams and the abilities and the life of the neighbors around us. In order to hear, we have to thread the DNA of listening into our churches. The key is how to get started, to find points of contact with our neighbors so that we can begin hearing what God wants to reveal through them. Consider Emmanuel Presbyterian. This Mexican-American church was founded 75 years ago on the south side of San Antonio, and many of its current members are descendants of those original founders. Today, this area of San Antonio struggles with poverty and segregation. Like so many mainline Protestant churches, EPC was much larger in the past. But many of its members moved to other parts of the city, and theological shifts in the denomination drove some others away. Today it is a small congregation, just now able to afford a half-time pastor. Yet there is a sense of hope, a belief that God has new mission frontiers for this church that will begin with the art of listening. But where to listen? How to listen? EPC's most frequent contact with the community takes place weekly at their food pantry, when hundreds of people come to receive provisions provided through the San Antonio Food Bank. The elders of Emmanuel decided to ask 3 open-ended questions of their neighbors at these weekly gatherings. What are some of your dreams for our community? What are some of the greatest challenges in our community? What do you think would be a good usage for the property behind our church and our current facility? Though the process has just begun, some clear themes are already emerging for the leadership of Emmanuel. Elder Debbie Berryman speaks of her hopes for the congregation as they become more attentive to God's voice through the members of their community.
I think good listening is a ministry. It's like ministry. And that's because if you're a really good listener, you have to be intentional. You have to really turn off all the distractions, the cell phones, the noise, and focus on the person and their needs and what they're trying to communicate with you. And that is something that historically we have not been very good at all. I think that a lot of people have been misinformed. Once you're a Christian, you're done and you're good. They don't see that, or we didn't see it before, as growth. You started here and now you're going on a journey and you're getting better and you're getting more insightful and you're responding to needs and you're doing all of these things. And you know, that's a different kind of thought process. We didn't really have that before. I don't think we understood it as well as we do now. And I think now we are looking at all of these people that are coming from the neighborhood and we're saying, there's potential, there's untapped resources, there's things we could do for them. They just need to talk to us and we need to listen. You know, hearing is easy, but listening is hard. So listening is an act of love. And I think that if we do it, and we do it intentionally, I guess that's the real word. We have to be intentional about this stuff. Then we can get closer to that goal of being true ambassadors for Christ.
In this chapter, you'll read the powerful stories of some congregations that began to bear much greater fruit as they listened intently to their community as well as their members. For instance, Divine Redeemer Presbyterian in San Antonio. Years ago, instead of hiring a Christian education director, this congregation employed a community catalyst, a person whose sole purpose was to listen to the members of the community and to the church and reveal what they called spiritual pregnancies, ideas that God wanted to birth in their midst. It led to a number of new mission initiatives. At Meadowbrook United Methodist in Fort Worth, Texas, By listening to both people in the streets that surrounded them and to a few key members, this church gave birth to a unique Bible study and a 4-H club that gained national notoriety. We leave you with one of the questions found at the end of this chapter in Neighborhood Church. What are some possible ways your congregation could weave a listening presence into your various ministries and programs? We also pray this prayer for you, found at the end of the chapter. Loving God, before we jump into action, help us be still and steep ourselves in your presence. Open our ears and hearts to the lives of our brothers and sisters, especially those whose experience differs from ours. In this way, O God, give us an ever-deepening appreciation for the beautiful diversity of your world. Amen.